On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. This is a big meeting. This Bukele meeting, fantastic today. We've got some definite snippets of that. The courts are screwed. That judge is going to get extremely angry, and there's not an effing thing she can do about it. This is gorgeous how this played out. We've also got a couple stories that are going to piss you guys off, at least a lot of my binary thinking people out there. I will say one of them, I was like, what the? And then I realized, I'm like, look, not all of these, and this is what I'm going to warn you guys, not all the stories that are out there right now are necessarily geared for people that are awake, geared for necessarily people that are conservative, which, by the way, are two totally different groups. Okay? You might actually be in two of those groups, but just because you're conservative doesn't mean you're necessarily awake. No offense to anybody out there. And then there's kind of the whole left side or the normie side of the crowd that oftentimes things are geared towards. So we got to keep those things in mind instead of just getting pissed off because it's a very binary black and white response. Well, he said something I don't like. Yeah, that's okay. He's going to say something. We shouldn't agree on 100% of everything, folks. That's boring as hell, right? We're not going to. Never. So rejoice when there's a little disagreement every once in a while. It's a fantastic thing. We need it. It's healthy. All right. First, I just wanted to really kind of share something kind of personal. Went to the doctor, and I'm like, doctor, I swear to God, I've made a lot of choices since the last time I came and saw you. Maybe some of my stuff was elevated, right? And he's like, look, he goes, here's the thing. I told him, I go, look, here's the thing. I made some choices. I'm only having one drink a day now. One drink, doc. That's all I'm doing. So I told him that before he tested me up. And he looked at the numbers and he's like, Dan, what the hell, dude? I'm surprised you're not dead. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm having only one drink a day.
Yes! Oh my God, thank you so much. Yes!
Just one drink a day. I mean, I felt like my numbers should be better. I'm actually kidding. I didn't go to the doctor. I don't have bad numbers. None of that shit. I just made that all up just so I could do this. That's it. None of it was true. My numbers are pretty good. Last time I got them checked, I've got a blood pressure thing because of my girlfriend, and usually I'm in the green, sometimes in the yellow, but whatever. We're all going to die someday. Not going to worry about it. Also, this was very cool. The best definition of intelligence is the ability to predict the future. This is what Donald Trump truthed out. We obviously know he's a pretty sharp cat. And good with the future. I think scares a lot. I saw a lot of people, by the way. I think a lot of us that like to think we're intelligent. Maybe some of us definitely believe we're intelligent. I don't know, but some of us are more humbled by life and try not to get too far ahead of ourselves. So this made me nervous a little bit. Whatever the case is, well, I'll find out how this plays out. My track record's holding up pretty decently, but whatever. This beautiful statement made by this young lady, and it's 100% accurate. It's actually very spiritual, but it's even kind of just from a less spiritual standpoint, just as good advice on how people project and some of the problems that we face. I think she does a really good job in a minute 27. It's probably something I couldn't be that brief on. Doing a good job explaining, I think, some really sage advice.
When someone can't control you, they will try to control how others see you. Psychology says that this behavior is deeply primal. Researchers at Stanford University have discovered that gossip and social sabotage are instinctive survival tools. They're hardwired into us. 92% of human conversations about other people are evaluative, meaning that we're not just spreading information, we are shaping perception. We're deciding this person is good and this person is dangerous. It's subconscious social programming. People are also 22% more likely to believe something about you if it comes from a third party. It's called the illusory effect. The more time someone hears something about you, whether it be true or false, the more real it feels. Harvard studies actually show that reputational damage spreads 6 times faster than the actual truth. That's because the brain doesn't care about accuracy, it cares about threats. So when someone says she's difficult, it sticks. Not as gossip, but as a warning. The sad truth is that someone doesn't have to ruin you. They just have to ruin the idea of you. For example, you set a boundary at work and you say no, and suddenly you're hard to work with. That version of you starts spreading and people believe it even though they've never seen it. So what's the point? It's not about you and it's not about them. People project what they can't process. Insecurity talks and jealousy whispers. If someone's trying to distort your image, it's probably because your presence exposes something in them that they can't face. Ultimately, stay stay rooted. You don't need to defend something that was never about you in the first place.
That's just sound on all sorts of levels. We do it, of course, with interpersonal relationships. Obviously, some of us that are in the public light, we sort of deal with it too from a standpoint, it takes years to build a reputation and only seconds to destroy it, is exactly what this is speaking to. But it also speaks to the larger thing that's happening right now with a lot of content creators out there that are, in fact, saying some strange stuff. And it's like, where are you guys getting this from? And yet people are afraid to say anything bad about them, because it's considered taboo. It'll, if you're punching up, maybe, but it just ultimately you're going to piss off like a large audience for your small audience, and it doesn't necessarily always bode well for the small guy, right? So it is interesting, the dilemma we're in. And I would say the projection thing I find is, I've been talking about for like manifesting and stuff for years. And projection is just one of those, I talk about filters, I talk about projection. It's the same thing. We see in others what we most like or dislike about ourselves, period, end of story. And I prove that in that if you can see it, if you can recognize it, it's something inside of you. If you can't see it, it's probably because it's not inside of you. You don't recognize it. You don't know what it is. Great example for any of the people out there that have enjoyed the herbal remedies of life. Before I ever did herbal remedies, I got all the way through high school before I ever started trying that crap. I did it in college like any normal human being, right? By the time that finally, happened and I started doing it, I was then able to tell, like, you could just walk up to somebody and be like, you puff, don't you? And it was like, you just knew. But I never recognized it before because it wasn't something that was in me. It wasn't something that I understood. I couldn't recognize it. So you'll project what you are onto people, and oftentimes because they're representing that component or aspect of something that's inside of you, especially when you're pointing fingers at people. You've got three pointing back at you. Almost assuredly, you're doing the same thing that you're accusing them of doing. We should always be careful of that. One of the weirdest experiences I have had yet in my life, as of now. You guys know when like the phone goes off, right? It's typically like that a warning sign, right? It either means like a tornado's coming, or in my case where I live, either a flood is nearby because there's a canyon right over across the little hill here that floods every once in a while. Fires, happens all the hell over the place around me. And Amber Alerts, like when someone steals someone's child. You get that annoying noise on your phone, right? I don't know if you've ever been in a movie theater when it happens. It's kind of hysterical, ruins the movie, but so mine went off, and I was I think, doing something in the bathroom real quick, and probably peeing too before the show. And it went off, and I was standing there, and I was like, huh, that's weird. And like probably an Amber Alert, because like it's like beautiful weather right now, and it's not raining. So I was trying to think to myself, what the hell is it? Like, okay, I'll find out in a second. And then like I thought I felt the jolt of an earthquake, and I'm like, nah, because it was short. And then I heard the noise of the cabinet kind of. I was like, huh. I didn't have anything hanging in there. Usually that's how I tell. I got a little chandelier over here that I can look, and if it's moving, you're like, oh, we did have an earthquake. No way. So the actual alert was for the earthquake, and it literally was before it, at least from my experience, because it was down in San Diego. I'm about 90 miles as the crow flies, if you will, from that spot. And they actually kind of called it out. Now, the earthquake, they're calling it a 5.2. Again, reasonably small. I was surprised I felt it, but I did. I felt the jolt, and it seemed really short in duration. But whatever. That was kind of interesting that they literally sent an emergency message kind of before I got it. Like, it was making the noise in the other room, and then the earthquake kind of hit. I was like, damn. So it just, hindsight was kind of a trip on that one. Anyway, just sharing it with you guys. Let's see. Okay, so this is something that I saw someone like connecting a bunch of Q dots, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And I'm like, I look into some of these things because I'm curious. They're right every once in a while, and they're wrong a lot. But this one was like, I started digging into it a bit, and I was like, holy crap, this seems to have some legs. So I wanted to just point out the factoids and let you guys run with it, right? But HSBC announces service suspension on April 20th for upgrades. Now, HSBC, and this is a kind of, I think, where this article is very pro XRP and all that stuff. So apparently HSBC has got some either contracts, or if not, has been very positive outwardly speaking about XRP. They're doing this suspension so they can upgrade systems A lot of people are under the impression that they're going to make them more usable for XRP and stuff along those lines. It's kind of the assumption that's going with the story. But we're going to use the term that's kind of being borrowed. And it's got another tie-in, which I thought was interesting. The 20th is Easter as well, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Just wanted to do a quick fact check. I'm like, I thought my numbers were working. So April 20th is also Easter. What this is a shutdown of the system, or let's call it a blackout. Easter shopping blackout. This is all over the place, too. So many different sites were using the term blackout. Very interesting choice of word. It fits. It's blackout. Let me tell you what it is. And it's kind of cool, in my opinion, frankly. It's really cool, in fact. So a whole bunch of stores, not necessarily Christian stores in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I would say quite the opposite. Target was on the list. Aldi, Publix, Best Buy, Macy's, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Target too. They're going to be closed on Easter Sunday. Now, I'm sure there's many people that are like, what? I was going to go shopping. It's Easter. Right? My favorite thing when I worked in retail, this is my absolute favorite thing. And I'm going to say it as an honest individual that has worked inside of retail establishments, has had to deal with customers and public my entire life. And I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be mean, and I'm going to tell you the truth. It's like the one guy that, I forget the store he always works at. He does really bitchin' videos. I've played it once, I think, before, but I've seen him a couple times. Dude's got a little mustache, and he talks about like, I didn't scan, so it must be free. And he's like, you don't think that's the first time I've heard that? And he's got this weird music in the background. Dude does a brilliant job. I think he's like IKEA or some shit like that where he works. Cracks me up, or at least act like he works. I worked at a coffee place, one of my favorite places, loved it. And you'd be there on a holiday, Easter, for example. I had to get there just as early and open, just like everybody else, make sure people get their coffee. Yeah, Easter Sunday doesn't matter. You're still going to want some coffee. And it was so funny how many people would come in and be like, oh, man, what a bummer. You got to work on a holiday. That sucks. I'm sorry. And maybe they'd give us good tip money. Maybe that was as close as we'd get to it. But the reality is if assholes like you didn't go into stores, we wouldn't have to be open. We're open because so many people go. So it's funny how a lot of us project, oh, that's so sad that you have to work on a holiday while you're standing in front of them. I had one guy ask me that at Starbucks the other day. I was there, I think it was Sunday morning or something weird. And I'm like, yeah, you need a coffee. And they're like, no, just for you. And I'm like, yeah, totally just for me. And they're like, what do you got to do today? Oh, I was down at the coffee shop. They go like, what do you got to do today? I'm like, I got to work, I'm working today too, And he goes, oh man, what a bummer. And I'm like, it's the guy working right now. And he started laughing and, because I get it. I got to work, you got to work. We both got to work, man. You ain't alone. But yeah, people that are out and about just having a good old time, feeling bad for people that are working on holidays while they're inside that store on a holiday. Yeah, you guys should shut the fuck up. Seriously. Get your little petty bullshit out of the way. Your little, I want to feel good for a second. Get it out of there, man. Because if you really actually cared, you wouldn't be there. Needless to say, blackout. Probably should black out my mouth. So I did a Q search, blackout. Got a lot of stuff popped up. A lot of it's around central communications, media blackout, blah, blah, blah. This is kind of the one that's gotten the attention, and maybe rightly so. They were talking about June 3rd, or this posted out on June 3rd, the boom, 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 a week to remember, dark to light, blackout necessary. So there's a lot of discussion around this potentially being the blackout. Now, originally, and this was one of the things that kind of bugs me a little about this, is this kind of, we thought, sort of came true already. Blackout at the White House of that same day, literally, the day that they were talking about needing a blackout. The White House was dark that night for whatever reason. You guys probably vaguely remember that. They've done all sorts of weird colors on it, but it's also been blacked out a couple times. We all thought they weren't allowed in there. Right? You guys remember that? That was pretty much the story we were floating. That we closed down D.C. It was no longer happening. Well, that's obviously not true. Again, conspiracies, right? Like, we're always right. Our track record's good. Well, we've been wrong about a bunch of shit, guys. We got to be honest about that. Like, I'm not 100% right all the time. I'm right about a bunch of stuff, but I'm also wrong sometimes. Man, you can't just walk around and be like, I'm right 68.9% of the time. I am thusly that smart. I mean, right? How much future do I got to predict accurately to be proven intelligent in the end. I mean, ultimately, yeah, right? So the blackout thing's an interesting concept. I don't know, spent enough time on it. Texas rep. This was one of the stories where I was like, all right, I'm putting it in Jesus, take the wheel. That's all I can say. Mike Johnson, I don't agree with you on this, but I feel like you can't be ignorant of Dan Crenshaw, a.k.a. Eye Patch McCain. I don't believe you're ignorant of what's going on, but Dan Crenshaw is going to head this new House Cartel Task Force. I don't know if this is, he made a deal maybe with Mike Johnson. He's like, look, I need to really increase my lovability, my street cred, because everybody friggin' hates me, and I got a re-election coming up, and I don't think there's a chance in hell I'm going to get re-elected unless I do something really cool. Can you help me? Maybe. Otherwise, I have no idea why Eye Patch McCain was put in charge of anything beneficial. I don't. Dude's a pile of trash. Rep Crenshaw, Dan Crenshaw, he's even a Dan. It bothers me. He's the only Dan I've ever met I don't like. Oh, I've never met him. The only Dan I don't like. There's probably others too. I should maybe expand my study of Dans, but usually when I've met Dans in real life, it's been rare that it's only one time I've met a Dan I didn't like, and it was really bothered me. There's another Dan I just don't want to ever have to meet him because that'd be two Dans. That's too many. Can't do it. Yeah, so he's going to be in charge of stopping cartels, this guy, who's probably bought and paid for by cartels. Maybe that's the plan, is to catch him. Who knows? I love to speculate. It's always fun. But I can't imagine why Johnson put Eye Patch McCain in. Now, a lot of people are like, I hate Mike Johnson. That's why. I get it. I like Mike Johnson. I'm still going to say I like Mike Johnson. So we'll see what happens. This is definitely one thing I don't necessarily agree with. Maybe I'm not accustomed with enough facts to make it unique or possibly good. Who knows? You know what, folks? You know how wealthy families continue to keep dying and stuff in weird ways, places like New York, man, helicopter snapped its tail, took its rotor, just popped off. Things that typically happen on helicopters. Well, we've got another crash. Wealthy family of top doctors and MIT student athletes wiped out after their private plane crashed on the way to a birthday. So this very wealthy family, let's see, the high-achieving family, they're calling them, okay. We got doctors and scientists all in here. They were celebrating a birthday in Passover in Catskills in upstate New York. Their Mitsubishi MU-2B aircraft was down just after midday on Saturday in a field in Kopek, killing all 6 people on board. The victims were identified on Sunday as Karena Groff, a former MIT soccer player and NCAA's 2022 Woman of the Year. Her boyfriend and MIT graduate James Santoro. Karena's father and neuroscientist Dr. Michael Groff, as well as her mother and urogynecologist, Dr. Joy Sanai. Wow. Joy is a tough first name, by the way. I feel like, and she's smiling, so good job. I mean, at least in the photo. I guess this is their Mitsubishi plane. A high wing twin prop. That's kind of interesting. Pretty good sized plane, too. Nice. I guess this is maybe the girl throwing the ball. I don't know. I just saw belly button. That's what I saw. I saw belly button. I like it. I like the belly button. Columbia County Undersheriff. What is that? Is that like what's the shirt that sheriffs wear underneath? Jacqueline Salvatore. She's said it's a news conference at Saturday that the accessibility is difficult, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. More famous people that died. Now, by the way, this is what a plane crash looks like. You see that? Plane crash. That really crashed bad, too. Damn. Notice how there's, debris. Like the engines especially. I just wanted to remind you guys of an infamous day back in 9/11, 2001, I think it was. Yeah, sorry. And how many people were assholes to me. Thank you very much for that. That was a wonderful experience as well, much like people that feel bad when they walk into an establishment on a holiday and then thusly try to feel good about themselves while they, say the shit I said earlier. I don't really see anything other than debris. Now, it's still smoldering. I was trying to find a picture that at least they probably hadn't cleaned up too much. But you'll again notice, obviously, anybody that was following it back in the day, there's no wingtip issues. The fact that the plane, I'm like, this is an impossibility. The fact that this aluminum body thing made it all the way through a full ring, I thought it went well into the second ring. And on top of that, left no wings, because the wings were way longer. The engines should have snapped off. Like, a whole bunch of shit should have happened that there's no evidence of it anywhere. Just debris, of course. That was a cruise missile, for those of you that are like, Dan, that's not a plane that hit it. I fucking know, man. I was awake during 9/11, and people were dicks if you tried to say this to them. They did not believe you. Well, it's very hard, by the way, to find a good quality photo of the day of that showed the outside. Anywho, that's what that's like. New York helicopter company is shutting down following the crash that killed 6. Yeah, I'll go ahead and play this. I think if I remember correctly, it was good, but I probably should make sure. There we go.
Tragic helicopter crash in New York City. The FAA says the company involved in the deadly incident, New York City Helicopter Tours, is shutting down their operations immediately.
Please keep your eyes open. You guys see anything in the water?
This comes after some lawmakers like New York Senator Chuck Schumer asked the agency to stop the tour company from flying until the investigation is complete.
New York Helicopter Tours is under investigation, under federal investigation for these deaths.
Before the FAA's announcement, the company writing that they are profoundly saddened by the devastating crash into the Hudson River, adding they are fully cooperating with the FAA and NTSB investigations. According to the NTSB, the chopper was not equipped with any flight recorders, and no onboard video recorders have been recovered.
Oh my goodness.
The crash killed everyone on board, including the pilot, Sean Johnson, a Navy veteran, and Augustine Escobar and his wife, Merce, along with their 3 children, the family visiting from Spain and celebrating a birthday.
They left together. They left without suffering.
Merce's brother speaking out.
We want to remind and honor their happiness and their smile forever.
All right, bullshit, dude. They suffered like a mofo. Okay, the helicopter came apart. You guys saw the beginning of that video where that was the prop that finally came back down, by the way. But yeah, I mean, very sad. I thought I saw a stabilizer on the back of the helicopter in one of the photos. Yeah, there is. Okay, yeah, there is. This is the thing I was talking about where it feels like they snapped the tail off, then it lost the main prop. Again, doesn't look like it's a beat-up helicopter, but yeah, there's something majorly fishy about what happened there. Suspect in arson at Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's residence planned to beat him, documents say. I think some are even suggesting with a hammer. Is this actually the picture of the dude? I think this is the guy, Cody Balmer. Now, there's a lot of spinning this story as an individual that was against Democrats. So this already has stink attached to it. 2, and again, dude, we got plenty of assholes on the right. I'm unquestionable about that. I was talking to my girlfriend about this in the morning. One of the things that we're kind of more common for doing is sort of kind of being intimidating, meaning having a weapon on you, maybe body armor, maybe, a bunch of fatigues. We just tend to kind of have a little more of a bigger guys, those types of things, right? Not a bunch of soy boys. And I typically, that's more how it seems we generally operate. Now, we can protest like a mofo. You push us, we'll push you back for sure, right? That's kind of more common for us, in my opinion. Now, as we've seen with the Tesla stuff and all that's been going on, obviously heavy progressive involvement. We know that for fact. Soros behind it, for that matter, too. We understand anyways. And they are firebombing. They're using Molotov cocktails. Definitely not something that's usually affiliated with conservative people. We do a lot of shit wrong, for sure. Might even come out there and hit you with the Bible even or something, right? Like, you're healed, damn it, right? And just knock you down right there on the spot. But this dude, I don't know. He doesn't really have that whole, he doesn't have the conservative look to me. He could, though, but he looks, and well, on the other side, I forgot to add this, too. They're considering that it might be anti-Semitic. Now that we're finding out. They literally did some damage. Look at this photo, guys. This is what the dude did inside the house while his family was sleeping. For any of you guys that might be like, oh shit, yeah, big time. His family was in this same building. Now, fortunately, they got it out. It looks like reasonably quickly because it burnt the hell out of the house, but it didn't seem to escape the room. But damn. And he was only there supposedly for 1 minute. Oh, we got 18 pictures? Holy shit. Okay. Wow, see? That one room's not even touched. Oh, I didn't even know. Look at all these pictures. Wow, that's a trip. Wowzers. Look at that. Huh. They got the scriptures out. So they're trying to say it's anti-Semitic, too, which also has that fun spin to it, because that's also pretty not typical of the conservative side of the fence, especially even the elite religious on our side of the fence. Don't generally attack Jews or Jewish faith, just in case maybe I felt my enunciation of the word was not very good. It sounded like I said juice almost, like O.J. Simpson. So yeah, the point is always a great photo. Oh, is that what's outside? Yes, very nice. Wow, lovely point. Yeah, no, that's where I parked my car. Yeah, no. This is how I do hitchhiking when I don't really want to do the effort. I don't know, whatever. It's not polite or good time to do this stuff. But here's a police chief talking about what happened beforehand, and then we're going to hear from the governor in a second.
So I can confirm at this point, as we put out already, we are conducting an arson investigation, and we're conducting an attempted homicide and aggravated arson investigation. That is the paradigm that we've operated in. A lot of the investigative tasks have focused on the who up until this point. Obviously, we're trying to piece together very early on the exact sequence of events. We were late in coming out here because we were getting rapid information as it was occurring, and I'm pleased to announce that we do have an individual in custody. His name is Cody Balmer, B-A-L-M-E-R, age 38, with a Harrisburg post office address. In terms of the sequence of events, because of the thrust of the investigation concentrating on the who, I want to be very deliberate in my comments as to the how and exactly the time frame. What I do feel confident in saying at this point is that we don't anticipate any charges for conspiracy, but again, I'd reiterate my qualifier that I mentioned earlier, that we are still very much inside the first 24 hours.
So apparently we're finding out the World Health Organization was behind it. I'm kidding, of course. The WHO, he didn't mean that. He didn't mean that. But sort of funny. And then for those of you that were like, Dan, dude, I got you. Oh, yeah, because that's not a genius move, is it? Nope. What do we know about the attack on Josh Shapiro's residence? Yeah, like bad. I think we've covered most of this. It happened quickly. He was there an hour. He was in and out. I don't know. That's pretty much the important stuff. Here's the governor talking. And he's obviously pissed. His family was attacked. And again, I'm not probably, I don't know. I don't even know what, I think he's Democrat, isn't he? I mean, I feel like Illinois is completely taken over. Whatever the case is, I don't know. Maybe they've got a Republican governor, and I didn't realize it. It's very possible. I have no idea. I could look it up. Maybe I will, but we'll see.
Heard from so many friends and loved ones. And we've heard from so many caring citizens of this great Commonwealth. I want you all to know that your prayers lift us up. And in this moment of darkness, we are choosing to see light. We appreciate the light that you have shined upon us. Pennsylvania State Police, led by Colonel Christopher Paris, will brief on the specifics of what transpired. But we do know that this attack was targeted. We don't know the person's specific motive yet, but we do know a few truths. First, this type of violence is not okay. This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other, directed at one particular party or another, or one particular person or another. It is not okay. And it has to stop. We have to be better than this. And we have a responsibility to all be better. Second, if this individual was trying to deter me from doing my job as your governor, rest assured I will find a way to work even harder than I was just yesterday for the good people of Pennsylvania. Here's a third truth. if he was trying to terrorize our family, our friends, the Jewish community who joined us for a Passover Seder in that room last night, hear me on this. We celebrated our faith last night proudly, and in a few hours we will celebrate our second Seder of Passover again proudly. No one will deter me or my family or any Pennsylvanian from celebrating their faith openly and proudly.
Yep. So again, he is Democrat, by the way. I looked it up, and so yes, very interesting. Seder, second day is going to come up. So again, why is this happening? Why? Of course, they're trying to pin it on us. I'm betting once every, and they've probably already like whitewashed a lot of this guy. But we'll pull up the information. I'm sure we'll find some very interesting comments he's made. Who knows? Maybe he is actually Republican. It's not even entirely impossible at all. But there's something about this just doesn't feel right. Then they were so quick to kind of share it. There's again another picture of the dude. I'm pretty sure that other one was him. Supposedly he's a mechanic. Somehow a big deal. I don't know if they're trying to tie it into like Jason Statham, which that's a great set of movies. Those mechanic movies are awesome. I love that dude. I actually just bought a box set of his stuff. I like Jason Statham. He's good stuff. All said. The man who authorities have set fire to Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home while he and his family were sleeping at 2 a.m. is said to be a registered socialist and has shared support from the Black Lives Matter movement. So it does seem we've found out a few things. Media is trying to pin him as one thing. It seems like that's not the case. Again, he did this, what do they call it? Crochet, I think is what they call it, right? He crocheted this. Be the light you want to see in the world, and he's throwing a Molotov cocktail. That is not something that conservative, even non-conservative, slightly left-centrist individual, we don't do shit like that. Are you kidding me? That's not us. Ultra crazy, lefty, progressive people that believe the only way to initiate change is through force, violence, damage, well, the things that they typically use. And here you go. And again, he's supposedly mad at him for financial reasons, which I thought was interesting. Maybe he lost his job. Who knows? A Santa Monica man was arrested Saturday at around 12:15 p.m. after he threatened to bomb the Coachella Music and Arts Festival. The Cathedral City Police Department say. It's up there by my good friend Alpha. It's his neck of the woods right there. Beautiful little city, too, by the way, just outside of Palm Springs. Hot as hell down there. And just down the street from the fun little casino over there, the Pechanga, right? No, Morongo. Morongo's over there. Pechanga's down by San Diego, I think. Police were notified of this suspicious man that was literally telling security guards that he was going to do a bombing at the Coachella event. And they're like, we probably should tell somebody about this, right? Yeah. So they did. Cops eventually found him. They used some crazy flock ALPR cameras to track the man's movements. Just so you know, that's how monitored we are. There's those cameras that they put on traffic signals. They're not there to bust you for speeding, and they are used to change the signals in a lot of cases, at least the ones we've got. I actually know somebody that just retired from that line of work. They've got new sensors now that are actually kind of cool. But those are used so they know, like, it knows a car's coming, basically. So I'm reasonably sure those are probably the types of cameras that are used to actually broadcast where people are. And it probably stores enough information, or for long enough, or it's stored somewhere that they're able to look back on it. So whatever the case was, they were able to find this dude's Tesla, or Tesla, as everyone pronounces it, even Elon Musk. And yeah, there you go. That's Bob's your uncle, I guess I'm supposed to say. That was kind of funny joke. I want to remind you guys, of course, of Healthy Home. Just, not to spend a huge amount of time. If you want to join, this is the join button. Just make sure you go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. It's just good for my channel. They give me like pats on the back every time somebody joins, because of me. So if you could help, that'd be cool. You got to buy a little bit of product thing, but it's ultimately because you're going to get free shipping. And if you can find 5 people that want to buy STEM Active or the collagen peptides or even the awesome Prime, all they got to do is buy one of those things a month, and you get your STEM Active or you get your product free. So it's kind of, if you know a couple people, you're down at the gym, which again, the Prime is incredible, gives you huge energy. Stem Active, major for healing. It's funny, as I did a thing with one of the locks yesterday. I got to get more calcium in my body or something. I swear my bones aren't as strong as they should be. And I flipped up the little lever to lock it, and it's a weird angle, and just, I kind of hurt my wrist a little. I'm like, damn it. I was making all this progress with the shoulder. Now I keep taking Stem Active, and I got to fix my wrist. But it's all good. Some just say I'll go blind. Who knows? It could be related. It shouldn't be after all these years of practice. But still, nonetheless, Stem Active, very powerful product for healing. It increases stem cells in your body. Stem cells what do the healing. They become other cells. So say you've got a skin problem, you got a cut, right? Stem cells run to that skin to start creating new skin, to build new skin quickly because you need to heal. So you've got bad joints that have problems. You've got muscles that are sore or torn or whatever. You've got any sorts of injuries. Again, this is great if you're working out even, just to help keep your recoup time down. But this helps. I noticed it with my shoulder. I dislocated my shoulder eons back. I was working out, and I was getting some pain. I just kind of dealt with it. It's just one of those things where, one, as a man, you just do stupid stuff, and you're like, the hurt just probably just there to prove to me that I'm alive, right? And it's really, no, it's damage you're doing to your body. And when that pain goes away and you realize, oh my God, it's healed, yeah, it's been good. So I've actually been able to go up 10 pounds on my bench. I was doing the shoulder lifts today with an extra 10 pounds, and I was killing it. So I feel like I'm back in rare form. Again, danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. The Stem Active, powerful. You can get it in a gel too. I want to say it's like $5 to $10 cheaper. Maybe it's $7. It's in that range. Slightly cheaper. It's a liquid. I don't know why. Feels like the pills are easier. Maybe that's why. Convenience always costs money. Damn it. But the gel, you got to figure it kicks in quicker too. Balance supposed to help for people going through the change. It helps with kind of the hormone imbalance. It's not actually putting hormones in you. It's a number of plant-based and natural things that help your body kind of create the hormone level and just sort of, all that stuff. Learn more. Click on it. Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Click on it. If you're someone that's going through those hot flash moments, if you will, you're probably going to understand it a lot more than I do. And it's like one of those things where you don't really ever score any points with a woman when you're like, so how is the change going? Like, it just is not a conversation starter. No, it seems not to be. Anyways, I've tried. And I'm just kidding. I do have a friend that tells me a lot about it, but I'm still afraid to ask questions. Loss of collagen. This is a great collagen peptides. Again, if you got sagging skin, sore muscles, joint discomfort, lifeless hair, all that stuff, this plays a huge role in it. Just a reminder to you guys, it's 15 packets, all right? So most everything's 30. Everything's kind of keyed out for a month. The Amaze isn't. Amaze is half a month. So if you're thinking about this is a product that you're going to have to buy twice a month if you want to keep doing it, which I do highly recommend. It's incredible for helping with all of those concepts. AO12 is antioxidants. It's one of the best ways to get those out of your system. They're what cause a lot of the age spots and stuff that happen to us. They actually do cellular damage to the antioxidants. This is a great way. It has molecules floating around in your body that are kind of really attractive to antioxidants. It's just they're set up to a point where they've got the right sit up, even more so than a regular cell, and they tend to find each other a little easier. And when they find each other, they kind of stay together, stay married, and just it exits your body. So it's a way of removing these nasty antioxidants that are in your body. It's a powder, it's a gel, and there's 30 packets, once again, for a month. So good stuff. Prime, I love. Just gives you energy. It opens your blood vessels. Incredible. Incredible product. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Again, Stem Active for pets. I mean, if you're balling, man, I say get it because your pets are going to benefit just like you would. But I would usually typically use this more if you got a pet that's went in and got fixed or had some sort of surgery or maybe had gotten a brawl with the cat and lost, right? And it's got some infections and stuff. This is a good thing to think about. It's not an antibiotic, but it'll definitely help with healing and all that kind of stuff if there's any sorts of stuff like that. So, and in extreme cases, I think Stem Active for pets is an incredible idea. Outside of that, for humans, you need to seriously get on it. I noticed within about 2 weeks that it wasn't hurting anymore. It's very, very strong and powerful product, and I've heard it from a number of other people. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Healthy choices, man. You want to manifest health in your life, you got to make healthy choices. Now, I didn't go and verify this information, but I do believe there's some evidence to suggest that it's true. But the Gates Foundation, they apparently provided CRRC with a 7-figure grant to fund its work on water, sanitation, and hygiene. Chinese military companies like CRRC have used their deep pockets to pay lobbyists to influence policy in Washington, D.C., often spending millions to defeat legislation intended to bolster America's defenses against China. Literally, we're taking money, U.S. aid money, most likely, donated to the Gates Foundation, who then donates it to a Chinese company, who then uses it to subdue America. Do you see how we've been using our own funds to screw ourselves? Tariffs on imported semiconductor chips are coming soon, but they are at the moment not. And we know there's a pause on some tariff stuff, and I know Trump's working out some like smartphones, computers, and again, that's likely only for 90 days too. We'll see what sort of deals ultimately get made. But just kind of, one, they're trying to remind people that things are a little shaky at the moment, for sure. And we need to keep that in mind. This is actually a really good short little article that I wanted to go through that Zero Hedge did. And it's called Warning the U.S. is Approaching a Funding Crisis. Everything hinges on bonds. Forget the White House, forget the Treasury, forget the Fed. The bond market is the driver's seat. And if bonds don't settle down, either A, the Trump administration will be forced to abandon its trade war, or B, the Fed will be forced to intervene. As I wrote, this is Phoenix Capital Research, as they wrote in their 2017 best-selling book, The Everything Bubble, the only reason the U.S. has been able to get away with papering over declining living standards for the last 50 years has been because bonds allowed it to happen. With bond yields declining steadily since the early 1980s, the political class / Fed were able to issue an ever-increasing amount of debt / credit into the financial system. I feel like I'm doing the law of one. So in this chart, we see a big-time drop of the 10-year Treasury yield going back to, looks like roughly 1982. Big-time drop. It was way up there, around 14%, I'm guessing, and now we're down around 3 to something. What is this on the side? Anyway, it doesn't matter, whatever. It does, but it doesn't. You see the trend. That's what's important. Now, what this allowed to happen is the federal debt, total public debt. Now, this goes back to, it looks like about 1965-ish, and it shows debt going up and then going up. As the yield's gone down, this debt has gone up. I bring this up because President Trump has decided he wants to reverse outsourcing, bring back the U.S.'s manufacturing base, and balance the budget. And he's decided that the tool to accomplish all three is tariffs. The only issue is the bond market isn't buying it. The yield on the all-important 10-year U.S. Treasury came dangerously close to breaking above 4.8 during the past 2 weeks. Why is this a big deal? Weren't these bond yields at 5% plus a mere 15 years ago? Well, the U.S. has added over $20 trillion in debt since that time, and it needs to roll over $9 trillion of that in the next 12 months. The Trump administration is desperate to do this via long-term debt rather than short-term debt. But if bonds don't play ball, the Trump administration will be up to you to know that you'll be up the creek with no paddle. A spike in bond yield with the U.S. massive debt overhead, interest payments are now the single largest outlay in the U.S.'s budget, would mean that everything bubble finally bursting. The crisis that would follow would make 2008 look like a panic. So if you're yet to prepare for this, the time is to act now before the bond markets crash, of course. Now, we've talked about protecting yourself with precious metals, and that's not totally just why I shared this. It's actually to demonstrate that this is not just as easy peasy as everyone wants everyone to know. Trump was going hard on the tariffs. He was going to be making some serious money, and it caused a huge problem that he maybe didn't think would be as big as it ended up being. And that was the markets, the world markets, hugely. And it caused a lot of fear and uncertainty for everyone, even our own market. So Trump's like, all right, we're going to come at this a slightly different way, which demonstrates adjustment. An adjustment demonstrates, we don't totally have all this 100% figured out. It's a far more complex monster than we realized. And two, I also think part of this was a threat to the deep state, which is We can mess your system hard if we want also. We know where you live. We know where your wealth is tied up for the most part. Again, 7% of Americans own stock from what we understand. Most of this is the uber elite wealthy. So this is, everybody talks about the markets representing the stability of our economy. It's not really the case. Now, the 10-year, I was kind of wondering about this. Earlier, it was down almost 0.1%, which is, again, not good. It's another number that I'm going to start paying attention to. It looks like it's staying where it was at, which is interesting. U.S. stock market's up. I mean, not huge, but up, good. It's up a good solid up. Gold's down a teeny bit. It's still at $32.23. Gold jumped like $200 in a 5-day period, and it's pretty much held on to that increment. So that tells you a lot of things. One, it tells you the dollar's weakened. Two, which is some of the inflation that you're seeing into the stock market. There's a lot of uncertainty happening right now, folks. I'm just telling you, drslikesgold.com, not going to spend a lot of time here. I don't know how much time we got to get out. I don't think the system's a good place to go. They don't necessarily buy into all my crazy talk at Goldco, but they are an awesome company to help you through this process. drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com, up to 10% free silver, the face value of 401k or an IRA. And then if you just want to get some precious metals, they've got that too. They've removed their minimum. And they've got a number of suppliers, and they've actually got some crazy metals if you want to buy a platinum coin or something fun like that. They got that too. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. Just the News put this one out for us. Doge says illegal immigrants with criminal or terrorist records have received public benefits under Biden. What I found to be the important part of this story is that's enough to piss you off just there. Oh my God, we're giving them free money too? Yep, totally. They got terrorist records and everything. What is more important, as I believe it's in here, I hope, under the Biden administration, it was routine for Border Patrol to admit aliens into the United States with no legal status and minimal screening. So far, CBP identified a subset of 6,300 individuals paroled into the United States since 2023 on the FBI's Terrorist Screening Center's watch list or with criminal records. These parolees have since been terminated with immediate effect. But here's the thing. They were vetted, quote unquote. So when they keep telling us these people are vetted, this is 6,300 people that were not vetted. 6,300 people with extreme records that have been allowed into this country. So this idea that everybody floating around this country somehow been checked out is a bunch of bullshit. Or bullshizzle. Or horse pucky. Horse shit. That was actually the one I used to hear. That was one of my favorites. When I first moved to Tennessee and I was working at the grocery store, one of the assistant managers, when she was talking to the other assistant manager while all three of us were smoking in the back room. That was so cool. She would talk about, they'd say something, it's horse shit. And that was always, I always said bullshit. Like bullshit I thought was really the more appropriate way to go at it. No, their horse shit has a lot to be said and stood for, all right? Just telling you guys, there's apparently a difference. I do understand there's a difference between the way cows eat a field and destroy it versus horses, I guess. Aren't horses a little more responsible for not jacking up the grass completely as much as cows do? I don't know, something like that. But whatever the case is, I don't know. I don't know enough about this stuff to even make it fun. I want to play this again, even though I'm kind of long. Who cares? This is the El Salvadorian Bukele. Again, this video is just so cool. And Trump was sharing it again, I believe. Yeah. We look forward to seeing President Bukele of El Salvador. Now, we're going to share a bunch of stuff that they talked about while here, but just to give you that fresh taste in your mouth. And just to remind you guys, these are the worst of the worst being put into the same location. You talk about bad things happening in prison normally. Yeah, some crazy bad things are probably going to go down. Here is Bukele showing up at the White House. I love how Trump's always like kind of there to greet, even for Zelensky, by the way, who's said some douchey things we'll get to.
Ready, two. Ready, doors. Ready, pop. Ready, open. Close. Ready, shut. Ready, face.
President Trump, your message to Christians during this Holy Week, sir, the start of Holy Week. Do you have a message for Christians, sir, during this Holy Week, sir?
Those people are crazy. I feel bad for the dude that's got the the Marine. I guess that's it's all about, I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to pretend I understand. I know they do the gun stuff and all that, so it's like a lot of symbolism, a lot of important doing things. But I love it. Facing forward, shutting door closed. Now thinking of my mother, about to take 4 steps forward. Right, like I think it's cool. So love it, folks. That's what it's all about. Hills, we got a couple little snippets of them talking about, the individual that they want to bring home. You know that guy? Well, they're building the story here, and then the next quote will take it over the top. So let's enjoy this build-up if we can.
In fact, Mr. President, you have 350 million people to liberate. But to liberate 350 million people, you have to imprison some. That's the way it works, right? You cannot just free the criminals and think crime's going to go down magically. You have to imprison them so you can liberate 350 million Americans that are asking for the end of crime and the end of terrorism. And it can be done. I mean, you're doing it already. And I'm sure that people have seen the change in the streets. A long way to go because you're just initiating your second term. But it's clear that with the numbers at the border, even in Democrat-run cities, they get a help from the work you're doing. So I'm really happy to be here, honored, and eager to help. Well, we had a terrible. In fact, Mr. President.
Yeah. So he again, it was a beautiful talk, and I like the way he phrases it. It's not that we imprisoned thousands. He's like, we actually liberated millions, the people that don't have to live with these criminals in public anymore. That's a big deal. Courts have no authority to force Obrego Garcia's return, and they don't. And so, again, this is the building. I put his first part before this next part for good reason, I think. We'll find out. But here's Mr. Miller talking about exactly that.
Is that he's an El Salvadorian. That is his country of nativity and citizenship. He is an illegal alien in the United States. He has no lawful right to be here. He was issued a final order of removal from this country. And so it's up to El Salvador and to the government and the people of El Salvador what the fate of their own citizens is. We can't extradite citizens of foreign countries to our country over the objection of those countries. Obviously, to do that would be a monstrous violation of international law. We can't go into other countries and kidnap their citizens and then take them back into our country. That's up to El Salvador and their own.
To send him back, right?
But it's their own citizen, right? So remember, this whole entire conversation has been wrong from the beginning because nobody was mistakenly deported anywhere. That's like the big fact that most of you have gotten wrong. No one was mistakenly sent anywhere. The only mistake that was made is a lawyer put an incorrect line in a legal filing and they've since been relieved of doing it. He is El Salvadorian. He is an illegal alien. He was deported to El Salvador. I would welcome anyone here to tell me what country they think we should be sending El Salvadorian illegal aliens to.
Important on 2 points, in my opinion. Of course, everything he said, first point. Second point is they sort of call out this administrative error, finally. So this is the lawyer that got fired, put something in there that shouldn't have been in there, and because of that, has caused a whole bunch of consternation, it seems. This dude was being a douche. He was being he was probably talked to by somebody, and so he snuck that in. They're like, here's what you need to do. And they found out, the good guys found out, kicked his ass out of the whole thing, the whole process, and the job. So again, we're learning. Now, here is El Salvadorian President Bukele saying that immigrants from Maryland are not going to be returned to the U.S.
Well, I'm supposed to not suggesting that I'll smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? I mean, how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the.
That is everything. And this is being done for a good reason. I think this is why Trump was so excited about Bukele coming here, because he basically needed to explain to the nation and the courts why this is preposterous, why you can't do this, why it doesn't even matter what the Supreme Court said, and probably had more to do with that administrative error. But whatever the case is, this guy was part of a terrorist organization in the United States. He was then sent away back to his country where he was not legally here. And he was already there, and they said, you have to return him. You weren't supposed to send him. Now, what Bukele is saying is, look, Trump says that this guy is a terrorist. The only way I could bring him back would be to try to smuggle the terrorist back into this country. That would be illegal. I don't want to do that. I'm buds with this guy. He's my homie. He's my hermano con from another madre, right? I don't know how to, por un otra madre, however you'd say that, right? My brother from another mother. Sounds much better that way. It's got a rhyme to it. So it's not going to work out well for the deep state, the courts, the bullshit. Here is, I think that CNN chick that's annoyingly annoying, and yes, intentionally said it twice. She sucks balls. No, she probably doesn't. That's too kind. She's probably asexual, just to really not make anybody have any fun with her.
I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point. The Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children. But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
Well, Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on your correspondence just a few days ago.
How long do we have to answer this question from you? Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You know, you have no credibility. Please go ahead.
I love it. And gives her a little slam on the way out the door. Here we're talking about 11 more violent illegal members of Tren de Aragua. Well, 7 of them, and then obviously the others probably from other gangs that are same affiliation these days. But here's our good friend Levitt, Carolyn, telling us that they've sent some more people home that I'm sure judges are going to be pissed about.
Of his executive, the president is using every lever of his executive authority and his constitutional authority within the bounds of the immigration laws of our country to ensure that our streets are safer for law-abiding American citizens. And this administration is focused on detaining, arresting, and deporting illegal criminal aliens. And as you saw this past weekend, the president used his authority under the Alien Enemies Act to deport foreign terrorists. Tren de Aragua is now a designated foreign terrorist organization. And as I said, there were nearly 200 Tren de Aragua members who were sent to El Salvador this weekend. Countless lives will be saved because of this action. And if you talk to the families, the Angel families, as I mentioned, Blake and Riley and Jocelyn Nungre, they understand the grave cost of life at the hands of these illegal terrorists. And the president is proud to deliver on that promise for them.
If these guys are terrorists at war with the United States, is President Trump considering anything more lethal to address them than just sticking them on a plane somewhere else?
Well, it sounded like you had a little bit of curiosity in the premise of your question, so I want to address it. These are designated foreign terrorists. The president signed a proclamation on February 20th, 2025, designating TDA as a foreign terrorist organization that was in consultation with the Attorney General and the Secretary of Treasury. That was pursuant to 8 U.S. Code 1189. The president has the right to do that. And I think nobody would argue that Tren de Aragua should be designated a foreign terrorist organization. If you want to have that argument, I'm happy to do it. These are heinous monsters, rapists, murderers, kidnappers, sexual assaulters, predators who have no right to be in this country, and they must be held accountable.
And what I find to be the most exciting about this, I guess, for me, I mean, I don't know, all this is exciting, and it just to pick one thing, it might be tricky, but what I guess I'm looking forward to next, maybe, it might be a fun way to say it, the judge who's like, you've got to give us daily updates and tell us what's happening. You've got to tell us. Why does the government think it doesn't have to do this? And essentially, they're like, this is outside your purview. I don't understand why the government's even here right now, Judge. You're telling me something that's completely illegal. There's nothing you can do about it at all. And throw your worst at me. First off, we're the government. You can't control. This isn't Donald Trump anymore as a private citizen. This is now the president of the United States. So the judge is in a very different place. Yes, of course, they get sued. The government did crazy stuff. We stopped Biden from doing stuff by some of these same ways, but it's obviously being way overused and in crazy places. I think there's a few places where they've stopped Trump in an appropriate way. They're freezing it while they work through the details. Totally cool. Totally cool. I'm firing it. You can't force me to rehire. None of those have happened. None of those have happened. So there's been a bit of a fairness in some of this. Like the ones that he's chosen to ignore are the ones that generally have been way outside the law. And I think Trump was just like willing to, all right, let's see. This is either going to get appealed or what, but I'm not doing that. I'm not hiring back a bunch of people. We're not paying the U.S. aid money to just people that you tell me I've now got to pay. We're not going to give grant money just back to people. No, not doing it. You can't make me. It's outside of your purview or your jurisdiction or whatever. This is it's becoming exciting in my personal opinion. Mainstream media reports that construction on the wall in San Diego is moving forward. Very short 17-second video.
Construction on the wall in San Diego is moving forward and faster than expected. A waiver from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security bypasses environmental regulations to speed up construction. Along with Smuggler's Gulch, it covers about 2 miles at the Hakamba Gap Wall. Construction on...
Wait. What the shit? What is this? What the fuckity fuck is this? Are you shitting me? This is gonna... What? How do they just not walk right... All right, whatever. God, blessed frick. Arizona's going to begin removing as many as 50,000 non-citizens from voter rolls following this lawsuit that happened. Good job. 50,000 people. That's enough to make cheating really tough. Almost. We'll see. Former Rep, I don't really care about this, but I think some of you might, and it might matter. But former Rep Mike Rogers is launching another bid for the U.S. Senate in Michigan. He announced this Monday. He's a former House Intelligence Committee chair. Campaign, I guess, he's conservative dude. Rogers has also widely been expected to compete for the seat, his second run for the U.S. Senate after losing in 2024 to Senator Alyssa Slotkin. Probably cheated. So we're trying to still get one of our guys in there, at least in the other Senate position, right? And this is Michigan. I think we've made a little bit of progress in election stuff, but I think, again, we'll continue to see more of that move in that direction. If timing's an issue or if they stall us enough, who knows? It's been a tough race that we've been having, but Arizona was a big success. But this race, he's going to succeed the retiring Michigan Senator Gary Peters. They're getting the shit out of Dodge. So, yeah, Republicans view the state President Donald Trump narrowly carried, but I think if we can see some improvements in the economy and stuff like that. We should have this in the bag. But he's also, I guess, going to be running against Tudor Dixon, which is a name we're sort of familiar with. And they're weighing too. They might be a Republican. So again, I don't know who the one is. And then finally, just because it's so much fun, and it really, I think, is the main reason I shared this story, actually, is apparently in Michigan, yeah, you know the guy that used to be the Secretary of Nursing, whatever he was, Pete Buttigieg, right down here, Peter Buttigieg, right here, says it right here, Buttigieg. He has taken himself out of contention. Feel like it's Tourette's almost is what, like it just hits me from nowhere, and I'm like, where did that come from? What is wrong with me? I don't know. State auditors Moog report finds $400 million in government waste. This is kind of funny and cool, and I don't know, it's stupid. It's Mississippi's Office of Government Efficiency. So Mississippi, down there in Mississippi, which, by the way, their budgets, you know, is probably in the billions for sure. Many billions, I'm quite sure. Dozens of billions, possibly. They found $400 million of waste. $400 million. Now, what I found super funny, I couldn't help myself. Where is it? Where they tell us it's 800 pages. 400 million, yeah, because $400 million is going to come out of my 800-page report. That means for every 2 pages for every $1 million. There's literally 2 pages per $1 million. I want to talk about wasting money. Let's talk about wasting money. 2 pages per $1 million. You can't be more concise? Really? You're getting paid by the word, aren't you? Get out of here. Whatever. This whole thing smells a little funny, but meh. Whatever the case is, he can't do anything. He can't force it. They have to vote on it and shit. So it might not ever come to fruition. Whatever. New York Attorney General Tits James caught in a potential fraud case. You mean evil people doing dumb stuff are getting in trouble? Sure sounds like it. New York Attorney General facing questions surrounding a real estate transaction she executed in August 2023, just weeks before she filed a high-profile civil fraud lawsuit against President Trump. Document in question, it's a specific power of attorney signed by James, is raising legal concerns about whether she may have misrepresented her intent to establish a principal residence in Virginia, potentially impacting her eligibility to hold office in New York or exposing her legal liability. Dun, dun, dun. We'll see. It seems to be a small little thing, but when they went after Trump for stupid stuff and then even went so far as to be like, yeah, Mar-a-Lago is only worth $18 million. What are you talking about? That's what we decided in our heads right now. I wouldn't pay more than $18 million for it. Therefore, it's worth $18 million. Trump's like, you're a fucking idiot. I don't know if he actually said it that way. He could have. He should have. Anti-Trump resistance leaders campaign bankrolled by Dem power broker tied to Chinese intel agency. That really bums me out a little bit. Very cute girl. She's got really nice dimples, nice smile, lovely smile. Every single time she smiles, it's lovely. Yeah, Michelle Wu. She's a mayor for Boston, Massachusetts. Place is busted for being the third most corrupt place when it comes to Department of Education stealing. Mayor Michelle Wu with that perfect smile and this communist individual that they will not show his picture probably because this is probably a communist rag and they don't want to get in trouble by China, so they covered his face up. Just letting you guys know some of the little tidbits of fun that you'll find in these stories. This is definitely Daily Caller's definitely Chinese controlled, definitely heavily influenced by China. Whatever. So is apparently Michelle Wu. That's the fun part. Yeah, Chinese intelligence agency has been apparently messing with this chick, giving her money. Yep. And this dude, there's a Wu and Gary Yu and Michelle Wu. Right? Like Gary Wu and Michelle Wu walk into a bar. I feel like this is the beginning of something like that. Should be. But Gary Yu, he's the founder of Boston International Media Consulting, helped raise over $300,000 for Wu to help the Chinese Civic Association he leads. However, Yu, whose Chinese name is Yu Guo Liang, he's listed as an official by the agency of the Chinese Communist Party. Oops. Influence and intelligence service called the Unit Front Work Department, and also operates as a recruiter for the Chinese Communist Party. She's in a bit of trouble, as we will say in my country. Yeah, that's a horrible accent, but whatever. We're just going there. That's what's going to happen. Sometimes you can't take words back. They're there forever, even though this is recorded and I can edit it. That's just called laziness. Donald Trump truth this out, and it's a big thing that he's calling us out, and I'm glad he is. Almost every week, 60 Minutes, being sued for billions of dollars by fraud, by the presidential election with their interview. Just, okay, big long shit. By their frauds, the FCC should take their license away. He's got this case against them. And then he even went so far as to take it another step because he was still frustrated. He goes, I just finished watching 60 Minutes, the fake news story that was scandalously responsible for removing a terrible and incompetently delivered answer by failed blah, 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 blah. How does he know when to capitalize letters? That is still like a language I am not sure about. Not sure at all. I don't even know how to read it still. I don't know how to read it. But it means something, that's for sure. It reads well. It's better than the ones that, it pisses me off when people do capital letter, lowercase, capital, like, right? Like they do it like they're trying to like fake out the CIA like sniffing technology. And it's like, first off, that doesn't work. Second off, it just literally makes it hard for humans to read. That literally does. It's just, you go ask any psychologist, if I do this, does it make it hard to read? It's like, yes. You could test 100 people. I'll guarantee you 95% of them like literally had to slow down their reading speed tremendously just to read that stupid couple words. Like I hate it. It pisses me off. It does. I don't hate it. I love everything, but that bugs me. I loathe that. Where the shizzle is it? You guys, of course, Root Brands. There it is. TheRootBrands.com/Dan Radio Style. I'm going to make sure I'm reading this right. So I haven't talked about these guys in a while, but I actually have been using their Sculpt. I love it. I've still got to friggin' figure out. I haven't done my like energy drink. It's like, I don't know. The energy drink, I like the other stuff better than the energy drink. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of in this weird place where I'm trying stuff out. So I haven't tried the stuff that I got to grind up. I wish it was in a pill, man. That makes it so much easier. But this is a pill, and this I like a lot. Sculpt. It's supposed to just help the way your body burns sugars, and alcohol is considered a sugar. I don't know if you guys know that. So I'm going to play my chemistry game a little bit, and it's been helping, I think, a little bit with that. I've actually noticed slow progression. I haven't really changed anything at all. In fact, no, I haven't changed anything. And I'm actually noticing a small difference. But again, we're talking, sometimes it's hard because water weight's a factor. And, you know, if I drink beer or don't drink beer, that's really two big giant factors. So whatever, a lot of things we got to figure out in the big picture. But it is working well. And these guys I've clean slate. I use, it's been a while. I haven't used it. I've got some still. I love the Focus, I think they call it. Where's the shop? I'm going to find the shop stuff. There we go. Where's the products, man? They're making this hard on me. The Zero In. Yeah, this stuff's awesome. This I took today. I took this about 20 minutes before I started recording. But it also helps like focus in general. But I'd already done the... so again, I'm still playing, right? I got this. So I did this earlier. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. And I got energy. And then I'm like, all right, this is more of a... For me, this makes me a little more chatty. This makes me a little, that's why I'm talking way too long, but that's what it does. It does have some caffeine in it, but it just kind of, I don't know. It allows me to just stare at the computer screen for hours and be fine just sitting there and still be like, oh my God, and just absorbing it, and your brain's just like working really well. So you're able to zero in on stuff for sure. But it also does a grand job at giving energy. It's incredible. Restores awesome. Supports bone health. Supports a healthy gut microbiome. Supports healthy blood pressure. Provides antioxidants. I love this. I got boxes of this stuff that I need to... It's just good. And it helps after workouts. So, again, very powerful. They've got box sets that you can get. This is Trinity Plus. It's got the Restore. It's also got the Clean Slate, which is just, again... passive cleansing, uses bioavailable silica, increases absorption, reduces inflammation. It just gets a lot of nasty stuff out of your body, and you can tell. Crush and this guy, this was the one I got. Sculpt and Crush. Yeah, that's what I actually, this is what I bought. And I ended up with the Zero In as well. I kind of didn't realize it did that, but I'm stoked it did because I only had one extra Zero In. So I was very pleasantly happy when I ordered it. But again, powerful stuff. They've got great products. The Zero In, again, I really like. Restore is really powerful. They've got kits that have that with the Cleanse. So check it out. Go to therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. That's therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. And for those that can't see the screen, it's the THE, root, ROOT, and brands. therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Really awesome stuff. You can also join here too, by the way, but get some products. Make sure you're getting back on the train, on the good stuff. Get that healthy choices. Pete Morocco, he's Trump's official who oversaw dismantling of the U.S. aid, abruptly leaves the State Department. Now, it's weird. It's being shown by the New York Post. Abruptly is a fun term. I don't know. Like, I don't think everything that's happening is bad, and I don't think anyone's necessarily failed. This guy did a great job helping dismantle the U.S. aid, and that's kind of done. So now he's abruptly left his role. Like, it feels like Axios put this out. So it's strange for me to see New York Post kind of with this language. So I'm like, that's just checkbox. That's all. It's like, all right, if it happens enough times, and I'll remember you forever. That's what happens with emails sometimes. There's some people that can't email me anymore because they've hit the checkbox just too many times. And I'm like, I remember you. And no, you're a dick. You're out. You're out. So long. State Department is forecast to deliver a reorganization plan today to the Office of Management and Budget, explaining how it will fold the remainder of U.S. aid into its infrastructure. So, again, the dude left because he's done. And he probably doesn't want to be involved in it anyway. I want to retire. Take my money and run. And then I'm sure Trump is like, yeah, you did a great job, bro. So whatever. I don't know. It's getting a weird spin, but I don't think it should be. Federal government paid group to secretly text children about sex. This is a true story. Federal government spent more than $27 million. Not huge money, but they spent $27 million on a nonprofit that texts sexually explicit health advice to children, tells them how to use sex toys. Is it sex toys or is it things they insert into maybe their vagina? I wonder. I don't know who wrote this initially. This has because you could be like really conservative, super religious, and you're like, like you've got a whole different concept of what a sex toy is than maybe other people that are a little more flagrant in their lives, maybe. All said, they're also showing them how to test for HIV and not seeking permission from their parents. $27 million federal dollars to literally reach out to children to talk about very odd conversations. That's been stopped. As the Christian world commemorates Holy Week, and again, happy Holy Week, leading up to Easter Sunday, the State Department has issued an appeal for its employees to report instances of alleged anti-Christian bias. So just for people mainly around the world, if you're working anywhere in an embassy or something like that, and you're finding an anti-Christian vibe and you happen to be Christian, because that would help, then let us know. We'll deal with it. And very cool, because any anti-religion of any kind, I don't think it's cool. Any kind. Which is weird, because you can take that argument really far. And I'm usually actually support it all the way to its limits, usually. Again, I don't think everybody's ready for certain information, or I don't think it should be put in front of children. Like the certain pieces of information I would put up with, like you should probably be 18, or like Santa Claus, right? Like how young can you talk about that freely? Where's that line? I'm curious, because it could differ. There's probably some 15-year-olds out there that still believe. Scares me a little bit. BP makes oil discovery off the U.S. coast. Big one. Big chunk of oil, as you would say in the South. Funny story there. I've said it before. It's not that funny, but it was to me. It's next to the full. Green Canyon Block 584, I guess, about 120 miles off the coast of Louisiana, as they found a bunch of oil out there. So, yeah, 400,000 barrels per day, I think they were saying, of oil equivalent per day, which I had to look up. Like, what oil equivalent? What the hell is that? It's their BOEPs. BOEP. Billion of billions of oil equivalent per day. And that's basically just like the equivalent of a barrel of oil. I guess since not all barrels are committed the same, or maybe natural gas is dealt with from I don't know, whatever the case is, there's some weird conversion that exists, or it does specifically with oil. I'd never really seen that before. I'm not in the industry at all, never have been, so it was the first time I ever noticed it. How about that? That'd be the better way to say it. First time I ever noticed it. But I thought that was cool. I looked it up. I got some cool stuff with Kennedy. I want to go ahead and let him do his thing. I'm already a little on the long side, but I don't know. I'm having fun. Can't help it. It's that zero in. This Stamos. What's his name? This guy? Anywho, he's obviously anti what Kennedy has to say, but Kennedy's got the stats, man. This dude's written books. Kennedy's a very smart dude. Most of us probably don't realize or appreciate how much shit this dude actually knows.
That is. You still say that autism is caused by vaccines?
Yeah, autism is caused by vaccines. And by the way, CDC's own data, they did a study called the Verstratton study in 1989. And they looked at the hepatitis B vaccine. They looked at children, and from the biggest database in the world, the Vaccine Safety Data Link. They looked at children who got the hepatitis B vaccine during their first 30 days, and they compared those to kids who got it later or didn't get it at all. And there was a 1,350% elevated risk for autism among the people who got the vaccine.
There may well be, but there are studies with millions of people. You ignore the big studies.
Look, you have this wrong. There's a series of about 13 studies that were done by people we call biostitutes. One of them was the leading one, who are people who do these studies for money for CDC. They were paid for by CDC in order to create the illusion that vaccines don't cause autism. The chief scientist was a guy called Paul Thornton, who CDC and his study is the most cited study for this proposition. And Paul Thornton is now a fugitive. He's wanted by Interpol. He stole millions of dollars from CDC that he had claimed to use on this study, but he was building houses, buying motorcycles, and living a life of luxury. And his study is absolute fraud. And yet they have not retracted it because CDC is a dishonest organization. It continues to be cited in the literature. And by the way, John, there are hundreds and hundreds of studies. I've written a book, if you're interested, called I'm Aerosol, Let the Science Speak, that has, I think, 1,400 references and over 400 studies cited that link autism and other related neurological injuries to vaccines. There is no question about it. If you actually read the literature, if you listen to what the propaganda that CDC tells you, yeah, vaccines don't cause autism. But it's propaganda. This is a captive agency that is intertwined and owned by the pharmaceutical industry.
I was just so enjoying the release of information. I can't even tell you guys, there's so much stuff that once you learn it, there's a lot of you guys that share stuff with me. And again, it's awesome. I forget sometimes. It's like a child going to Disneyland for their first time versus going to your 15th time. It's still awesome, but it's nothing like the first time you go. Nothing ever touches the first time. I guess that's the problem with some drugs too, from what I understand. Heroin, for example, right? First time is just so amazing. You're always chasing that high. But you'll never find it, they say. All said, we are in a process of finding information, of learning information, of waking up to information, and the depths of how far we're willing to dive into that process is also fun to think about. Many are willing to go, and those are, I'm still trying to, I think I've kind of got it understood, and Law of One, I think, is kind of covering that concept. It's Thursday show. I do at 3 p.m., but I feel like it's hard. There's levels of awakeness is what I've come to, right? There's like a kind of a more basic level where it's just the government lies to us, and why, right? And then or they don't like the cops, or there's something kind of more local, which is cool. But then it's when you start realizing the orchestration and how there's been an intelligence behind this control, and then you start to dig into, you start going back in history, and you're like, wow, man, they seem like they've been in control for a very long time. And ultimately, that question leads to a lot of very deep questions, in my opinion. That question, when you talk about the age of this planet and just our understanding of things, and it's fascinating. And so for me, those are some of my favorite conversations, actually, is getting into that kind of crap, because that's where I'm at in my awakening process, if you will. I'm at that place, right? And it sucks for others that are just kind of freshly awakening, because you're still dude, JFK, man, he was killed by the CIA, and just yeah, it wasn't, but there wasn't one bullet. And it's I know, there's probably three at least, right? it's just funny because you forget. And it's like a parent with a child. And the child's like, oh my God, look at that. And you're like, yeah. And you forget like that innocence of that first time. And so, yeah, I apologize all the time for maybe not being fair to those of you that are in that earlier phase. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's like fun. Yeah, this is one of the best parts of your life, really, because it's that first bit of awakening where you really start to dig into stuff. To me, I felt like anyways, was very freeing. I wouldn't say I was just awakened, but it was when I first started digging into stuff. It wasn't, I don't know. I was leading towards it. My life was, but it wasn't something I was questing, or I was just got out of school. Like I just got out of high school. I was pre-med. That was what I ended up going to college for initially. I wanted to be a doctor. Like I was, all that stupid shit was happening. I was a chemistry major, but life changed from a guy at a hot dog stand. I've told the story before. Now's not the time. I'll tell it again. But yeah, it just changed my whole life. Dude with a hot dog stand, believe it or not. Strange how it works. Here's RFK Jr., though. He was on with the what's-her-face, McCollum. And thank God Brett Burr wasn't there, because that would have pissed me off. But what he's saying is pretty fantastic. Check it out.
The studies that they did were very, very narrow, and there were about 17 studies. The Institute of Medicine, which is part of the National Academy of Sciences, says that 14 of those studies are invalid. And the biggest weakness in those studies is they never studied vaccinated versus unvaccinated group, which is the only way that you can really make this determination. And more importantly, none of the vaccines that are given to children during the first 6 months of life were ever studied. We're going to look at vaccines, but we're going to look at everything. Everything is on the table. Our food system, our water, our air, different ways of parenting, all the kind of changes that may have triggered this epidemic. It is an epidemic. Epidemics are not caused by genes. Genes can provide a vulnerability, but you need an environmental toxin. So we know that it is an environmental toxin that is causing this cataclysm. And we are going to identify it. We are narrowly focused on identifying it and using as many scientists as we can from universities and research centers all over the world to focus them through NIH, through Jay Bhattacharya, to focus them on answering this question.
Yeah. Again, we need to ask these questions. We've never been allowed to. It's taboo, or they're like, well, so-and-so said it's okay. Well, that's what he's saying. Yeah, even in the other video. Yeah, the CDC says that, for sure. But what we understand about a lot of that now is a little crazy. And now they even say that you can't even necessarily trust VAERS, right? VAERS database, it's inaccurate. Oh, I'm sure it is. You're just saying that because of how much shit in there you guys have been ignoring at the CDC. And then finally somebody's there that's like, no, it's literally, yeah, no, they've been ignoring it. So this maybe going to piss some people off, whatever. Arcturus Therapeutics receives a U.S. FDA Fast Track designation for the STAR mRNA vaccine candidate ARCT-2304 for pandemic influenza A virus H5N1. Apparently a San Diego business somehow managed to get the quick pass on the FDA. What I'm wondering about on this is if this is legit. And I don't mean like not necessarily too legit to quit. Hey, it's more like, is this something that whoever's running the FDA right now that's like, a Trump person, or the FDA, sorry, don't have to add extra letters. But whoever's there now, are they actually in charge? So that's what I'm wondering about is, did this happen intentionally, or is this a good thing somehow? Whatever, checking into it. Some different kind of mRNA vaccine. I know our side of the fence is very black and white on the matter. And I kind of am too. It'd have to be like, it'd have to be some like major, I don't know. I don't want to speculate necessarily. This is, I guess, I don't know. This is England's problem. And I don't mean that in any sort of derogatory way to my English friends, because frankly, I wouldn't know if you're pissed at me and you might just walk up and hit me. And I won't even know, because you'll have a smile on your face or some shit. Walk up. Or just that normal English face because it's cold all the time or whatever. That like Boston. Boston's more of a frown downwards. You guys kind of more, like no smile, just like sort of a flat lip, like just flat. Boston's actually kind of more, they're actually fucking upset. Boston people. And it's no offense to my friends in Boston, but you just have this downward trend to your face versus California, dude, our cows are happy, man. You ever tried our cheese? Sorry, Wisconsin. Our cheese is happy. It's happy cheese because it's awesome out here. Anyway, sort of funny, maybe not. Keir Starmer says this, though. Over the coming days, I'm sure going to say this wrong, the Vaisakhi 6 are celebrating the birth of the Khalsa, the traditional wheat harvest. Now, this is, for those of you, I don't know, I don't want to learn how to say that. I think it's kind of Indian, so it might be one of the Hindu things. Sorry, the Hindu things. Those two words always, I get flipping up in my head. I know what the difference is, but I sometimes use them wrong. So yes, whatever the case is, this is the sun god, essentially. This is also the spring harvest. So this is the time of year, and as always has been. Easter Sunday is oddly moves around, so it's not obviously the death of Christ per se, though symbolic of the resurrection and all that. I'm not trying to take anything away, just the fact that it moves around. It moves around with the moon. It is the same celebration that's been celebrated long before Christianity that was tied to the solar cycles. Christmas oddly being right on the 25th, 21st is the actual other side of this spectrum. It is what it is. Most people think the birth of Christ was probably more around September, I've heard. Right? So, who knows? But Keir Starmer, talking about the solar stuff, the Vaisakhi, also known as the Baisakhi, I'm saying it wrong, I'm sure, in the Masadi, marks the first day of the month of Vaisakh and is traditionally celebrated annually on the 13th of April and sometimes the 14th. It is seen as the spring harvest celebration, primarily in Punjab and northern India. Now, this one sounds like it's the same day every year, so every once in a while, maybe Easter or Good Sunday or Palm Sunday fall on the same day. Who knows? But, of course, weird. And then, of course, Donald Trump's like, this is Holy Week. Christians around the world remember the crucifixion, God's only begotten Son, our Lord, our Savior, Jesus Christ, and Easter Sunday, we celebrate his glorious resurrection and proclaim, as Christians have done for nearly 2,000 years, he is risen, right? So, and how the hell did he get out of there? Right? Now, coming, if you think the rolling the rock back. All right, sorry, maybe not funny. It's too soon. All right, whatever. Maybe in 50 more years, I'll be able to get that joke out of there. But as we approach the joyous Easter Sunday, I want to wish Christians everywhere a happy and very blessed holiday. America is a nation of believers. We need God. We want God. And with his help, we will make our nation stronger, safer, greater, more prosperous, and more united than ever before. Thank you, and happy Easter. Now, from the stuff I've been reading, this is just the small, it's in the back, just for any, like the four of you out there to put into the back of your minds. If there is any truth to any of the Anunnaki kind of crap at all, I hope he's not like kind of playing to the one that he's expecting to show up and be in charge. Maybe that's what we're about to go through. I hope not. But I believe, my understanding is they're a hell of a lot more benevolent than necessarily Yahweh might have been. Just saying. All right, outside of that. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. Donald Trump to all Jewish families gathering with friends. Again, just dude knows how to play the game.
I want to wish the Jewish people in America and Israel and all around the world a very happy Passover. Every year at this time, Jewish families celebrate God's liberation of the ancient Israelites from slavery in Egypt, guiding them through the prophet Moses on a 40-year journey to a very, very promised land. The story of Exodus, which is retold around the globe and all over the world at every Passover Seder, is a reminder not only of the enduring strength of the Jewish people, but of the importance of putting our faith in Almighty God no matter what the circumstance. To all the Jewish families gathering with friends and loved ones this week, have a blessed Passover, and may God continue to watch over the Jewish people, the state of Israel, and the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Again, this is one of those things that's a little controversial to a lot of people right now. I think things are playing out how they have to. I think things are said publicly for a lot of reasons, and they're not always just to me or you, right? Like sometimes we just have to remember that. Have to. But man, I'm really long. Saudi Arabia plans to pay off Syria's World Bank debts. I was like, oh, all right, this is Jubilee. This is right. I was kind of all right. I'm always looking for it. I don't believe it's gonna happen, but if it happens, I'm gonna friggin' be like, I was wrong. Like I'll run to it. But no. Syria's debt. Saudi Arabia's like, we will buy their debt. We will pay the World Bank. And I guess this is to buy their freedom is probably what that means. But let's not get into all that nonsense, but I think that's ultimately what it means. We will free them. So Saudi Arabia, one of the richest countries in the world. How much does Syria owe? Well, if you're looking at the screen, you already know the answer. $15 million. Again, it says dollars too, by the way. I mean, there's like, I know a couple reasonably successful people that could buy Syria's debt. I mean, you wouldn't want to, but they could. That's not that much. We're $1 trillion country or $1 billion cash country, and they're like, we could probably afford $15 million. Whatever. They got Syria's freedom. That's kind of interesting. That's historic, too. Zelensky said to an interpreter that had not been, there's like a shift in tone in the U.S., but also a shift in reality, as he suggested Russian leader Vladimir Putin narrative has cut through the Trump administration and singled out Vice President J.D. Vance. He says, I don't want to engage in the altered reality that is being presented to me. He says, first and foremost, we did not launch an attack. It seems to me that the vice president is somehow justifying Putin's actions. You guys did launch attacks. You attacked the people in the Donbass region. Just to make sure we're very clear. Now, yes, Putin did invade you after that. After you were attacking people that, one, spoke Russian, were pro-Russia, loved the original government before Zelensky, and before the one before Zelensky, I think, was when it happened, and then somehow Zelensky got in an election because he's a comedian and won over and they cheated or whatever because they knew they wanted this war. All of this is played for that reason. They are lying to us, of course. And Zelensky is just a pile of trash. The dude's a pile of trash. His people will never vote him back in office. That's almost a guarantee. And he's trying to push it off like we're Putin puppets. Kremlin says there's going to be a Putin-Trump meeting. It's going to take place. Guess who's not going to be there? Yeah, no Zelensky. So why is Zelensky bitching about what's going on? You see the timing? Nothing's by accident. This is the counter psyop for this is psyop. Everything's a psyop, frankly, by the way, because 90+% of people are programmed still. Seriously. 90+ people. They're still in the matrix. You might be a conservative and just be like, no, I'm awake, dude. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of you are. I think I got a smaller audience. I think that's why. I think most of you guys are like solid. I think we got a few people out there that are like still sleeping at the wheel a little bit. Don't realize it. So, yeah, Trump's war on Ukraine. He was talking, got this question while he was hanging out with Bukele.
But that's a war that should have never been allowed to start. And Biden could have stopped it. And Zelensky could have stopped it. And Putin should have never started it. Everybody's to blame.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, sir, about his offer to purchase more Patriot missile batteries?
Oh, I don't know. He's always looking to purchase missiles. You know, he's against. Listen, when you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war. Right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size, and then hope that people give you some missiles.
If you just think about it, he's right. Dude starts a war with a giant country. And be like, all right, you're going to keep giving weapons and money, right? All right, cool, let's do this. I'll fight this all day long. And it's like, yeah, we don't want to keep fighting this anymore. And your whole reality is based off of it. Supposedly, North Korea is making what could be the largest, most advanced warship ever. New satellite photos show CNN News at 11. Yeah, some big-ass ship. Okay. Are you scared yet? I hope not. You shouldn't be. Meta faces antitrust trial that could force it to break off Instagram and WhatsApp. What WhatsApp? What WhatsApp are you talking about? Is it who's on first? Felt like it. Trying. Didn't really work. Instagram, WhatsApp, they want to break them off. And been a lot of Zuckerberg showing up at the White House, doing some White House stuff, some Ultimate Fighter champion. We're like, yeah, no, I'm going to get in with Dana White. Trump, I love him too, man. I'm here. I'm on your side of the fence. I don't know why I'm making him sound like Bill Clinton right now, but whatever. Right now, I'm your friend. And I don't think that's actually matters, maybe? Or he's hoping it's going to affect this case, but this case isn't Trump's direct. Like, it should be impartial. Trump shouldn't have control of what the FTC is arguing, the Federal Trade Commission. Dun, dun, dun. Like, you shouldn't. No. You shouldn't be able to do all that. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Paying attention. Blue Origin's all-female crew launches into space. Again, that's cool. Like, I don't want to besmirch any of the ladies that got to launch into space. Was this necessary? I don't know. Like, I guess that's the thing I ask. But like, where do you stop? All certain one race female specifically? Again, it brings the big question. Wait, what's a female? What does that mean? What if I'm progressive? Can I go up if I'm transgender? So maybe we'll do the alphabet soup, all transgender flights. News at 11. Like, I don't know, whatever. This is just kind of, to me, it's, whenever you go like all a specific thing, you've just ruined whatever it was you were trying to do. Anyway, it went up in space. Their capsule's nothing like Elon Musk's, by the way. This thing's strictly meant to get up for the flat earthers, just up to the what's the layer, the firmament, yeah, just up to it, and then come back down. You get to kind of see they can see the curvature. I don't know, but they don't take pictures of it because no camera can present the image properly to demonstrate that there's curve. So challenging nonetheless, but these people get to see the entire flat earth and somehow come down, maybe. Whatever the case is, for the round earth people, you just get up high enough to see the curvature and then come back down. It's very, very, you're not even in orbit. Orbit's kind of scary. You need some heavy duty stuff. This just needs to be able to hold the pressure before it crashes. Hogwarts. I don't know. I didn't care about this, but I figured a couple of you guys might give a crap. Apparently Harry Potter, there's going to be a TV show, and they've revealed the cast. So I don't know for any of you guys that give a crap. That information's out there. I'm not going to read it. But if you're interested in who the hell they're going to choose for what parts, I don't even know who's the main dude. I don't even know what his name is. I don't even know. I've never even seen one of the movies. I know. A lot of you guys, what? I know. I tried one time. I actually tried to buy him one time, and I bought some stupid book set that was like a collector's thing. I thought I just paid a lot of money for a nice box set. I was like, it probably got extra stuff, whatever. It's like worth it. Then it showed up, and I'm like, it's books. And I pulled out the book, and I'm like fanning through it. I'm like, where the fuck's the DVD? Guess what? Yeah. I couldn't find anyone to give them to, by the way. I literally threw them away. I'm like, I don't want these. I'm not going to hold on to them. Yeah, it was disappointing. A lot of people, again, what? I know. I did not know you at the time. I would have given that shit to you. You could have had it for free, and it was in great condition. I don't even know. I did take it out of the plastic because I was curious where the damn DVD was. Police rush to apparently United Healthcare's Minnesota campus. This is a place that guy worked, that Luigi Mangione shot. Apparently a bunch of cops went there. I don't know if they're planning on doing his thing on Monday maybe, or even Sunday possibly, and telling us whether he's guilty, not guilty, death penalty, not, like what, I feel like in the first Superman movie, guilty, or the second one, when they ended up in the flying mirror. Whatever. I don't know what's going on with me today, folks. I'm having fun. It's Monday. I get to pick a bunch of music. It's still early in the day. I feel like I'm ahead of the game. I don't know. I'm on top of the world. I hope you guys don't mind. A lot of you guys do email me, and they're like, Dan, I love it, but that's you guys. I'm hoping other people enjoy it too. I think ultimately that's what I want to head towards, is more of that Joe Rogan-y format anyway. And so maybe practice doing a little longer format helps a little. All said. We'll see if I can hold through. I love you guys. We're going to keep moving forward. There is merch stuff. You guys should look in the description of the videos. Everything except YouTube. It's not going to have it in there. I'm sorry, YouTube. Try to find me on one of the other platforms I'm on, and you can see my description. You don't have to make an account. But yeah, I've got a couple places you can get merch. Of course, truththread.shop is a good one. The other one's harder to do. It's the Dan I'd Rather. See if I can pull it up. See if I get lucky. Dan-I'd. There it is. Bonfire. Yeah. So bonfire.com/Dan-I'd-Rather160. I don't know. It's cool. I got a bunch of these too. I got to like them. I think it was still 38. So even last time I promoted this, nobody's bought one of them. You don't have to. Don't feel the need to. Again, this lady was kind enough to draw this for me. It's funny when I wear it at the gym. People literally walk up to me and they're like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "I'm wearing the hat. I got the same glasses." Yeah. I think it's funny as hell when it happens. I'm like, "Well, it's not me. It looks like me though, doesn't it?" Needless to say, Dan, I'd Rather. It's pretty funny. Bonfire. Good stuff. All that. I love you guys. We are gonna keep moving forward and keep helping others. I'll even show this one real quick too, because I can hear you yelling at me. Why didn't you show mine? Right, here's yours. Truththread.shop. Really cool stuff in here too. Got the Dan I'd Rather, all that. We've got the the 611 fight. We've got 911. Yeah, the truth. Never forget. And she's got a whole bunch of stuff on the back of these. And then she's got the 5G warfare, just to give you an example of kind of how the backs look. But they've got a lot of stuff like never forget. Sometimes the truth can be stranger than lies. Due to scheduling war games on 9/11, nearly every fighter jet was out of the country of patrol. Right? I don't think I could do the whole thing. It would be an extra hour on my video, but it's awesome. And so when you're standing in line, you got all this information and people can see it, and it just, I don't know, it's kind of cool. Kind of cool. And you can learn about different stuff. And then, of course, the 5G warfare just talks about the 5 different generations. You're on the 5th generation, so it is fantastic. Lots of good stuff. Check it all out. And music, I'm still picking. I think I got an idea where I'm going, but we'll see. And all that said, of course, we've got the Thursday show. We are stupid long. This is the longest show I've ever done, easily. That's not good. I got to fix that. All said, we'll be doing that later this week. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for walking forward. Thank you for hanging out and giving me a chance to share the world with you and some stupid stuff. But all I got to say, we're doing it together. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.